are the divine transfer, part 24, the sacred household, on adoption, kinship, and the property as religious continuity. The law of perpetuation. The first law was not political, but functionary. The first law was not political, but funerary. Adoption was the right that saved a fire from going out. To be born was less important than to be remembered. Lineage existed to maintain worship. Death demanded a successor, not for inheritance, but for sacrifice. Every family feared extinction, not as biological failure, but as ritual silence, the horror of an unworshipped ancestor. Alexa, next. Domestic theology of adoption. He to whom nature has denied a son can adopt one, so that the funeral ceremonies may not cease. Adoption was a sacrament, a transfusion of one soul into another altar. To adopt was to transfer worship. He passes into a new divinity. The adopted renounced his first hearth. The fire of birth was extinguished in favor of the new flame. Emancipation was a death of worship. Adoption, a resurrection in another house. Relationship was not of blood, but of flame. Kinship was defined by the right to make offerings at the same hearth. The family was not a biological tree, but a chain of sacred fires. To share gods was to share being. To worship separately was estrangement. Agnation, male descent, was the architecture of continuity, the ritual line of those who kept the flame. The maternal was absorbed into the paternal right. The wife renounced her own gods. Marriage was not union, but transference of worship. The woman crossed the threshold to new ancestors. Her body carried new life, but her soul changed allegiance. The maternal tomb was lost to her. Her son's offerings ascended to another line. Thus, patriarchy was first a priesthood, not a politics, the control of worship, not of women. The hearth and the tomb were the twin poles of religion, one for the living, one for the dead. To lose either was to fall into chaos. To unite them was to possess the world. The same fire that cooked the meal warmed the dead. Domestic worship was cosmology in miniature. Birth beside the flame, death beneath the field. The family's immortality was secured not by genes, but by ceremonies of flame and food. Property was not a right of possession, but a covenant of worship. The field belonged first to the dead, then to the gods, and only lastly to the living. Ownership meant tending. Never disposing land was a trust passed through generations of piety. To sell the field was to violate the dead. To till it was to pray. The first proprietor was not man, but fire. The first boundary was religious, not legal. The terminus, the invisible perimeter of the divine. Between one family and another stood a strip of consecrated earth, uncultivated, inviolate. Boundaries were gods in disguise. To cross them was sacrilege. The limit was the law itself. Stone and spirit joined. The field's edge was its guardian. The terminus was a silent deity of possession. Religion made property eternal. The land could not be divided without priestly mediation. Even sale required ritual. The tomb's soil was imprescriptible. Neither time nor state could annul it. The hearth, the house, the burial ground were the trinity of permanence. Ownership was not individual but ancestral, a contract between the living, the dead, and the unborn. To merge families was to confuse gods, to mix hearths was to pollute divinity. Each house required its own altar and its own enclosure. Community was always mediated by separation. The polis emerged from many sanctified isolations, a constellation of fires, not a single flame. Thus individuality is born of piety. The private began as the sacred. The modern ego inherits the religious solitude of the ancient house. Property is the worship of the dead extended into soil. The right to the field is the right to remember. The dead confer possession. The living presence is through sacrifice. The earliest economy was funerary. The circulation of offerings, the exchange of piety for fertility. To till is to continue the liturgy of ancestors. Every harvest is a resurrection. Art and eros. Toward a psychoanalytic aesthetic between pleasure, play, and liberation. Art is the unconscious made visible. Psychoanalysis is art made method. Both are modes of excavation, yet where analysis descends, to interpret art erupts, to incarnate. Opened not a clinic, but a theater of mind, the stage on which condensation and displacement became cycle and style. Freud discovered in the very organization of the mind those mechanisms by which art makes its effects. The artist and the analyst share a single terrain, the field of the dream, where reason bends into rhythm. Psychoanalysis lacks a general theory of art because it fears the pleasure it reveals. It exposes art's techniques but hesitates to sanctify its power. Criticism domesticates. It restores the ego as master in the house of art. The unconscious whispers inform, the critic answers with control. The revolution remains incomplete until pleasure replaces propriety as principle. Freud's vacillation between the pleasure principle and the reality principle is the moral drama of modernity. The question is not theoretical but eschatological. What shall man do to be saved? If salvation lies in renunciation, art is illusion. If in liberation, art is prophecy. The artist's faith is the second option. That beauty is revolt against despair. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Keats answers where analysts hesitate. Man's allegiance to pleasure is indestructible. Repression is disease. The reality principle demands maturity. The pleasure principle demands rebirth. Art is the compromise between the two. A lucid delirium, reason dreaming consciously. To make art is to disobey the commandments of suffering. Every masterpiece whispers, the pleasure principle shall have the last word.